Are you tired of feeling overlooked and underestimated? Hi, I'm Tammy North, the Introverted Executives Coach. If you're an introverted executive or you're ready to rise to senior leadership, but you're struggling to be seen as a high potential, this podcast is for you. One of my favorite songs lately has been Humble Quest by Maren Morris. Something about this song just grabbed my attention, and I want to talk to you about a breakthrough that I had in the process of listening to this song and then researching why Maren Morris wrote it in the first place. Literally, what was her mindset? And what was she thinking about when she wrote it? I talk about various ways that you might be holding yourself back, and I've never thought that being humble was a bad thing. But after listening to this song, there is definitely a new way that I want you to think about and define what humble means for you. Generally, being humble is something that most authentic leaders, like you, consider to be a virtue. But depending on how you define humble, defining yourself as humble might be holding you back in some unexpected ways. And today, I want to give you a new perspective. But first, I want to talk to you about the power and importance of music as it relates to your mindset. As a certified executive career coach, I'm quite knowledgeable about how your own thoughts are at the root of the outcomes in your life. And when you decide what you are going to allow your brain to think ahead of time, it changes everything. Quite literally, what you're thinking about in any given circumstance will change how you feel, and how you feel will change the actions that you take, and the actions you take will create your results. I've only been very clearly aware of this for the past 10 years or so, and I've become quite adept at the tools that a coach can use to assist a client in this exact process over the past few years. But still, now that I'm steeped in this subject of mindset and thought work, when I look back in my life, I realize I did manage my thoughts. I did. I managed my thoughts and my emotions, and I very often did it through music and playlists. This was long before I knew what coaching was or self-coaching. I didn't know that there was anything like an executive coach in the world. But here's how I did it, and let me know, you probably did this as well. If you grew up in the 1980s or 1990s, especially the 1980s, you might remember mixtapes, or at least you might remember creating a CD of songs that you loved in the 90s. Sometimes people in love would make a mixtape for their significant other, and vice versa. It was kind of like a love note. I remember making CDs early in the 1990s that were full of energetic music with a great beat. Something I could exercise to. And then sometimes when my heart was broken or I was sad, I would make a CD of music that was very melancholy and aligned to how I felt. I've talked about this on other podcasts, but one particularly bad heartbreak I had in the early 90s happened around the time that Martina McBride released her The Way That I Am album. That album featured music such as Independence Day and My Baby Loves Me, which you probably heard about. And those are probably the reasons I purchased that actual CD. But one of the lesser known tracks on that CD is called Going to Work. And it's all about a woman who's going through a breakup. And one of the ways that she distracted herself from her pain was to go all in at work. She did a great job, she got things done, and then she kind of fueled herself from the positive work situation that she found herself in. Well, I wore out that particular track, and then a different time later in the 2000s, when I was training, I had started running and I was training, and I ran every single half marathon in San Diego, and which culminated in me finishing, I can't remember right now, the 2003 or 2004 San Diego Rock and Roll Marathon. And at that time, that was when lightweight wearable MP3 players were first a thing. I had this little thing like an iPod Nano, but I don't know if that's what it was, but it was like an iPod Nano, and I had it on an armband, and it could fit about 40 songs on it. That's how long ago it was. But if all I could have were 40 songs, you can bet that that playlist was perfectly crafted, and it got me through my marathon. So those were the beginnings of me using music to fuel the thoughts I wanted to have, which did result in me reaching my goals that I never thought I would reach in a zillion years, like finishing a marathon. So ultimately, when I created playlists that fueled thoughts that served me, it directly drove better outcomes in my life. So these days, I have 2 perfectly curated playlists on my phone, and they create the ideal mindset for me stepping out of my comfort zone and for the continuous striving that I have for a bigger positive impact in the world. And I'm very picky about the songs that I add to both of these playlists. One playlist is about me. who I am at my very core, in my soul. This is a very personal playlist and I don't share it with anybody. It is mine alone. And it keeps me focused on my values, where I came from, and where I want to go. It reminds me who I want to be when I get there. It's like my compass. I listen to this playlist when I'm tired or when I feel lost or when I'm just exhausted or when I'm just not sure what path to take. For me, that playlist is like nourishment. It's wholesome goodness. It's peace. And then the other playlist I have that I also curate very deliberately is focused on goals and dreams, courage, determination, strength, accomplishment, overcoming, and other generally powerful themes that speak to me. I listen to my goal achievement focused playlist almost every single day on the way to work, or maybe when I'm getting ready in the morning. 4 or 5 years ago, I used to have about a 15-minute walk from the parking lot to my desk, and I would listen to that playlist every single day while I walked into the building in my earbuds. I didn't fully understand what I was doing back then, but I 100% know now what I was doing. I was setting my intention. I was setting my mindset with which I was going to walk into my day and into my workplace, and it was very intentional. I have a version of my motivational playlist on Spotify. I'll link it in the show notes if you want to hear it. Maybe you'll get some ideas for your own motivational playlist. Okay, so all that being said, a couple months ago, I heard the song Humble Quest by Maren Morris. And these days, what I'm about to tell you doesn't happen very often, but as soon as I heard this song, I added it to both of my playlists. There are very few songs that go on both. I think there might be now 3 that are on both playlists. Both my values, my core, my soul playlist, and my driven playlist. But this one immediately went on both. So like I said, I did some research to see if I could find out what Maren Morris was thinking when she wrote the song, just to see if she was thinking what it seemed like she was saying. So let's talk about that. The song Humble Quest, it starts out with a persistent beat. It quietly and deliberately drives the song forward for the entire duration, but it's the lyrics that captured me. One of the things that Maren Morris said about this song is that it's an ongoing, perpetual quest, not like a one-time fist bump, but this driving, continual push. And yes, I'm with Maren on that, a perpetual quest, a driving, continual push. This is how I want to live my life. And something she said in another interview is there's just something in me that's always trying to pay my dues and not cut in line, so to speak. Especially for women in country music, the word humble is thrown around a lot. And if you start to believe in your own self and your own success, and you even start to feel some pride in it, then it's like you're starting to lose your roots and where you came from. And it's almost used as a ceiling, Morris says of the inspiration behind the song. She also said that as you become more successful, you gain more confidence. And then there's simultaneously an expectation that the more successful and confident you become, that it can be perceived as arrogance or as having a lack of humility. So she keyed in on how the word humble can often be weaponized against people, and especially women. And when that happens, it often will hold you back. So let's really dig into the lyrics a little bit, and I'll give you a little more of my insight of what I think. So I often talk to you and how you are out there. You are grinding daily in your job. You're doing everything you can to add value and to be seen as somebody worthy of more senior leadership. You know how it is. You have your nose down, you're getting it done, you're making it happen, and before you know it, it's been 4 or 5 months. And you wonder how long it's going to take before anybody notices how hard you're working. Does anybody even think that you have potential? You always say yes to your boss. Heck, you say yes so much because you want to be seen as a team player. You want to be seen as somebody who is all in. So the first lyrics of her song, haven't looked up in a while, been biting my tongue behind a smile, falling on swords that I can't see, poison my well on the daily. And I see that biting my tongue behind the smile is like you just keep saying yes. You just keep having a positive attitude. You keep showing up, keep doing your thing. And then you're falling on the swords. The more work you do, the more they give you. You keep smiling, you keep saying yes. But in your mind, you start to feel the anxiety. You start to wonder what it's all for. And that's the poisoning of your well. Maybe you start thinking, well, maybe this is as good as it gets. Maybe I've already hit my upper limit. Maybe I should just accept where I am. And that's where her lyric, it got easier not to ask. I just kept hitting my head on the glass. But then one day you realize how much harder you're working than your own direct supervisor in some cases, or than some of the people who are more senior than you, and you start to think, wait, why can't it be me? You start to feel frustrated, and you know that it is time for you to demand more of yourself and more from your organization. And it is okay to advocate for yourself. That's why I want to tell you, it is okay to be compensated for your value, for your effort. It is not arrogant to expect to be paid what you are worth. Her lyric, I was so nice till I woke up. I was polite till I spoke up. I was in an organization, 4 or 5 years ago or more. And there came a point where I realized that that was the situation I was in. And everybody thought I was so sweet, so nice, so energetic. I had the best attitude. I worked so hard. I'd been hired for one position and then they moved me to another position that was technically more senior. And then they moved me to another position that was one of the flagship positions in the organization. And they did all of that without giving me a raise. So I had success, success, success. And I was having even further success. So one day I walked in and asked my direct supervisor. At the time I worked in the government, in the federal government. So I went and asked my supervisor that they have this thing called accretion of duties. And I went and told him, I will be willing to do the paperwork to request this, but I believe that my current position should be increased by 1 grade. And he told me, well, I agree with you, Tammy, that you probably should be that grade, that level. However, if we were going to do that for anybody, we would do it for this other man first. And I knew there was something about that conversation where I realized, I'd worked in that organization for a very long time, including when I was a pretty young person. And I realized this organization is not going to let me grow. This isn't the place. So at that point, I had the conversation and I was very respectful. I offered to do all the work to make it happen. After that, the relationship between my supervisor and I slightly changed. And it made me realize that they were happy to let me work as hard as I wanted to work. As far as my supervisor was concerned, I had gone as far as I could go. So I made a decision to change. At that point, the chorus of the song kicks in, which to me is all about a purpose-driven life. You were meant to have an impact on your family, your community, in your career, and across the world. You were born to do big things, and you were given a multitude of talents and superpowers so you would have your own unique influence. So the lyrics say, I'm on a humble quest, and damn, I do my best. And that's who you are, and I know, and I see you out there every single day. Your sense of what your purpose is will change as you grow, and you'll progress through life, and it'll evolve even further, and that's okay. I roll with the desire to never be satisfied. I hope I always see something more. I hope I always want something more, and that I always continue to learn and grow in various ways. And that might be career focused, or it might be around the rest of my life, but I always want to be striving to make my world a better place. And I want you to have the same goal. I always want to be striving to help you and other people using the superpowers that were entrusted to me. So her lyric says, not gonna hold my breath because I still haven't found it yet. No, I still haven't found it yet. As you rise in your career and you become more successful in life, you'll start to feel or hear about other people from your past or around your life in general who have not yet made the decision to take control of their own lives. But you will continue to want more, to strive for more, and you will remain strongly on course, following that driving beat, that persistent driving beat toward your own humble quest. All the while, people might gossip, they'll tell other people that you're full of yourself, they will say that you are arrogant. They'll show signs of jealousy or envy. And if they are very close old friends or family, this will hurt and you will not understand. And you'll wonder why they aren't happy that you're making your own dreams come true. You might start to think that they're right and that you should make yourself smaller, that you should hold yourself back, that you are wrong for shining so bright. This is the ceiling. That's the ceiling that she's talking about in this song. And it's a ceiling of your own making. You cannot control what other people think, do, or say. You can wish, inspire, nudge, and try to pull them along with you. But if they will not come, that is their decision. You feel the pull of your own humble quest. You must push on. Just make sure that you do stay self-aware and walk that balance between confidence, which is knowing you're going places and knowing you are 100% capable of figuring out how you're going to get there, versus the arrogance, which is thinking the world owes it to you automatically. So the lyric says, the line between fulfilled and full of myself, I'm trying to find it and I might need some help. That's something that we all need help with. Not being arrogant, but just being confident. And being confident is one of the most powerful things you can be. Do not back away from it. It's the line between finding the courage to stand up and rising as the powerful being you are with a strong, good purpose and not wanting to hold anybody else back while you do. So her lyric says, standing up was enough of a battle. How do I not cast a shadow? You know, there was a point when you didn't feel as confident as you do now. And yet you, in spite of your fear, in spite of self-doubt, and in spite of any other limiting belief you had, you made it to where you are now. And you can make it to another level should you choose. And while you do that, then the goal is to not cast a shadow, holding somebody else back or keeping them in the dark. So at every opportunity, pull people with you. And if they won't come, you can't help them, but you can try to get them, to inspire them and to encourage them to live their fullest life. And one of the final lines I want to talk about, she says, "I'm a hell of a hassle." Well, aren't we all? Stop apologizing for wanting to make your mark. Stop apologizing for striving. Just grow into the most powerful version of yourself. How many of you are out there today and there is somebody else in your world, maybe a partner, a spouse, a husband, one of your male friends, whatever. You might have a lot of people that you spend a bunch of energy helping them create their dreams. Well, how many people do you have on your team that are helping you create your own dreams? Yeah, I'm a hell of a hassle. And luckily, I have an amazing husband. I have an amazing mother, an amazing daughter, 2 amazing boys, and a bunch of amazing friends who are on my side. And you know what? They all know I'm on their side too. And that's how we roll. I'm a hell of a hassle. And that's how it's going to be. It's okay. So the way I want you to look at humble now is more like this. You know that you did not get where you are today without a lot of other support. You had your creator, if you believe in God or some other greater power. You had parents or caregivers. You had a partner or a spouse. You had family and friends, your tight circle, the people who really get you, the people who have supported you. You have mentors or previous leaders who believed in you. You may have had coaches or other leadership training that made you a better leader. You had teachers who taught you all the things that you know now. Teacher could be a formal teacher, but it could also just be people who taught you things along the way. You have team members, peers, and colleagues, all of these people, and probably many others, neighbors, whatever. You have so many people that in their own little way helped you get to where you are today. So just remember to always celebrate where you came from because it got you where you are today, but don't use it as an anchor to hold you back. Don't forget where you came from, but never stop helping other people rise. Mentor and lead the next generation. Kind of like an apple that falls to the ground and some of the seeds take root and create new sprouts. Always nurture others to give them opportunities that you had and maybe even opportunities that you didn't have. Then remain in gratitude for where you are now, and as you see that path in front of you clearing for even more incredible opportunities, which it will, then remain in gratitude then. And always remember that you are a truly amazing and capable person. You are powerful beyond your own imagination. And yes, if you hear me saying these words today, I am saying them to you. You are powerful. You are capable. You are beautiful. You are driven. And you are humble in the best way possible. This life is your humble quest. Decide today what you are going to do with it. And don't hold back for even one more moment. You can connect with me at Introverted Executive on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. If you're ready for executive coaching to help you achieve your biggest career goals, subscribe to my weekly Rise and Shine newsletter. There, you'll find out when my program opens for new clients, and you'll also receive weekly tips and activities to continue to make a bigger impact in your own powerful way. You'll find all the information and links down in the show notes. See you next week.